Alright, are we recording again? Yeah. Okay. Quick note here. I don't think this is necessarily part of the harness that we want to remove here. Originally I wasn't sure what this was, but now I think I do. This goes just above the thermotime sensor. It's a yellow wire, it looks like here. And it goes right up here, you know, below the radiator hose. And I think it goes to this wire here, goes to the temperature gauge. Pretty sure I want to keep that because my gauge is working, so hopefully we get. Okay, I'm getting closer to removing the old ECU cable here, which runs down here. I finally pulled off some more wires here. One is to the engine compartment light. The other is to the brake sensor, fluid low level, I guess. I forget what that is too. But when I said we didn't have to do anything on this side, I'm not so sure now. I'm looking at this harness, and I can see there's a wire coming off here that runs across here to the other side. It may be just for power only. May have to separate that. I don't know yet. We'll find out when we get into the driver compartment there on the ECU side. Next I got to pull out, or at least take loose, these are the resistor packs here, I believe, for the fuel injection. So that's just being held in by two 10mm bolts. So a little awkward to get to, but I can get to because the clutch cylinder is in the way. I still have to sort out this wiring mess over here too, because over here we're connected to the airflow meter, so I gotta get okay, that. I've got the airflow meter out, and the cable fell down there somewhere, so now I see I've got to dissect this cable some more. It seems to be, oh boy, where does that one go? I keep seeing wires and I keep questioning, where are these wires going to? Okay, I already labeled this one. Okay, I labeled it. What did I label it? That is the gauge, temperature gauge. Okay, so anyway, there's another bolt here. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way here. Okay, another big clamp securing the cable here is coming off. Next. So, and then there's all other kinds of cables in here branching off into who knows where. I'll put this clamp back on here just in case I'm going to use it for the new cable. That way I can find it. So there, I've got more of the cable loose now. And this should be the cable that went to the airflow meter. And I have not labeled it yet, but there's no other cable like it in there. But I will label it. So anyway, here we are with this big monster cable. And there's only a few more places holding it in here. Right here is a place. Let me lay that up on the engine again. And the other place is right here. Okay, so we're done with that. And then we got that to dig out of there somehow. Get out this resistor area as well. Anyway, it looks like it may just plug in there. It may, I don't know, can't tell yet. But it looks like we're close or ready to push, disconnect the ECU on the inside now, because I'm going to declare that we're done taking everything loose we need to in the engine compartment. Other than, I don't know what to do about these other cables that branch off here. I may have to dissect that, because we'll see. It may be just power. Okay. It may be something. Here we are in the driver compartment, and ECU is behind here. Got to take a few nuts off for that plastic cover there. And there's where the cable is going through, up in there. Let's see what I can see while I'm here. Let's see what you can see while I'm here. I mean, how are we going to do that? I don't know. Does it branch off? Oh yeah, I see some branching here. It's not obvious yet. It will be obvious after I get the cover off. So let me stop our video for this moment. I loosened up some bolts. There's 3 for the cover, and then another 3. I don't know what this is. This was on there. I don't know what it was to. Was it to this? I don't know. There's the ECU. Got you out without too much trouble. I'll leave that bracket there on the floor in case I need it later. This is where the new one will go. Here's my cable. I got to somehow get it through everything here, and just as I thought, looky here. I don't know what this goes to, but it's gonna have to probably be hooked back up. But yeah, that is definitely in there at the moment. I will have to find a way, I guess, after I get the whole assembly out. But yeah, this is connected right here. I'll have to take this off if you can see it. Let me shine some light on it. There it is. This thing has to come loose. I don't know what else branches off here as well. It wasn't as hard to, you know, I used some big screwdrivers to pry and push the grommet. I hope I'm not blocking the light too much. There's all kinds of shadows, I know that, but yeah, I pushed the grommet through. So apparently now I should be able to start pulling from the engine compartment side now. So I was really dreading this, but yeah. Oh, let me point the camera in the right direction. I was really dreading this, but I can see now that that is not too difficult to do that. Okay, so at least I'm making progress. There, you can see I popped the grommet through there, and the cable I can now pull forward towards me, which is the original goal here. Okay, here's what concerns me is this cable here still, which is, you know, clamped along this firewall with the original plastic clamps that will probably break if you touch them. So I don't know. I don't know where this cable goes to, and I don't know what's inside of it. So let me start pulling the cable out a little bit here so we can see and maybe dissect. I don't know, but all of it seems to go to the ECU except for a few wires there. So let's pull and see. Okay, anyway, I'm pulling these I'm plugging these I think resistor packs here. I think I go to the fuel injection, and I'm basically just using some pliers and screwdrivers to pry it up a little bit so it'll disconnect here. Alright, so there you go, and I count 5 wires on this one, and there's looks like only 3 wires on that one. So even if we connect it back onto the harness again, if necessary, you can't get it wrong, I guess. So add this to the collection. Yeah, here's my other dilemma now. Here's our grommet, okay? And here's our plug. There's just going to be no way to slide this grommet past this connector. So it looks like we got to cut the connector. The grommet, I mean, not the connector, the grommet here. Okay, because we want to reuse the grommet. Okay, I finally had to slice the grommet off. I realized there's just going to be no way to get past the connectors. It must have been assembled first before the connectors were put on. I finally think I figured out perhaps how to finish the removal of the harness, the ECU harness, which there's a branch right here that comes over here. And I finally traced everything back, and it's coming up to here, to the main relay. I think it's all of these relays are somehow related to running the fuel pump and the ECU. So it looks like to me, and this relay gets its power from the battery, and it looks like power comes in here, and it doesn't send power over to the ECU until certain conditions are met, like I perhaps maybe fuel pressure, alternator, all kinds of things like that while you're trying to start the car. So it looks like, you know, that these relays under here are no longer going to be used. It looks like that with this new system. So if I disconnect this plug, and sorry if it looks like a mess, because it's a mess in here, but at least I'm going to provide a little bit more information here than other people have given you. There's a guy YouTube called Ambi who kind of talks about the fuel pressure relay and all that, and that's all he says is it doesn't work. Okay, well, I'm going to show you why it doesn't work, and then I'm going to show you how to make it work, I hope. So anyway, this plug here is, you know, a constant 12 volts when the battery is connected. Okay, so this may be a source that we're going to use for the new ECU, maybe. We'll see. But anyway, this comes off of here. Somehow it's intertwined going into here to the relay. Constant 12 volts going into the relay. And then it comes back over here. And this is where they did some splicing here. This Datsun did, not me. I don't think it was me. And they spliced in one of the blue wires coming off the relay to a big red one. And then they just, have some blue and greens here. And it finally sends everything over here through this harness to the other side. So it looks like all I got to do now is just somehow pull this through. Like I said, we sure don't want to disconnect something we shouldn't be disconnecting, but it looks like that's how you do it. I had to find this out on myself. If you want to disregard my information and just chop everything out of your system, go right ahead. Anyway, I'm snaking it through all these other wires here. Almost got it. Okay, there it is. Here is what goes to your battery, and here's what goes to your main relay and the fuel pressure relay boxes here. Okay, so there's that. And now I got to get it around my alarm wires next. But yeah, nobody mentioned that you had to tear this relay box loose in order to find... Uh-oh, what am I hung up on now? Okay, nothing. Spark plug wire. Okay, so that's what you got to do here. Now, is something else not going to work when you go to start your system? Because I see in the schematic, and I'll show you the schematic here in a second, after I get this thing out of there, and give you the big picture here of what everything looks like. Okay. Alright, so we'll lay it out on the floor here in a second. Oh boy. Okay, good. Get rid of that. It's using my meter. Okay, so I almost got this thing out of there. I feel a little bit more confident now than I did, even though I'm not sure if this is going to work yet. But here we go. Here we go. Alright, so this, look at that. Look at how long this thing is. This thing is like, I'll measure it in a second here, but it's quite large. It's a good, strong cable for somebody who may want to purchase it for their own system. But anyway, here it is. This is what was in the relay, going to the relay box and to the battery, but apparently there's no voltage traveling along these wires because of this relay. And when the relay, I guess, is energized, it will then send power over here. And you can see, here's the power, the red wire, and the blue wire maybe, your ECU connector, and there's another connector. This connector here, I'm using my foot as a pointer today. Let me find a better pointer. Alright, so this goes to the engine compartment. One of the YouTubers, what was it? I don't know, Brad Chop Shop, something, I don't know, Brock Chop, some kind of chop. Don't chop, just remove. And there's that. Both of these were in the engine compartment. This is power here. These two connectors, where did those two connectors go to? It's like, I already forgot where some of this stuff goes to. Wow. How soon we forget. I had to look at my own old videos of where these were going to. Okay? Yeah, well, I haven't had enough coffee. It's very early in the morning. Anyway, it still travels here, and this is what's going to your injectors and all of your sensors and the airflow meter, and that is that. So, anyway, I was going to estimate how long this thing is, and it's probably longer than, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's roughly 12 to 14 feet long. If you stretch it out, I'm sure it would be about 14 feet long. But that's the harness and where everything goes on it, except I forgot what that went to. It's in another video, I think, that I made. And, man, I'm forgetting everything. It's probably one of the components. I'd have to look. But, yeah, there's some power going to some of these connectors here. So, yeah, boy, I got to look my own video to see what's going on here. Anyway, that's the harness. The other thing I may want to do here, and I hate to butcher this thing up, but I guess I could, is I may take this connector here, because this connector here, I will show you, goes straight to the battery. All right, and it looks like they're using at least 12 gauge here on that wire. Looks pretty thick. I know how to wire 12 gauge, don't I? Anyway, that wire here, and I gotta go get this. That wire itself hooks up right here and comes right off the fusible links. This is a good 12 volt source. So we may be chopping that off. See, I do chop that off, hook that up to this connector, send it over here to the ECU. That way we got 12 volts all the time. But now I need to put this guy back together. I don't think I need to use the guts of this anymore, but you know, I could change it where everything is mounted more cleanly over here. I may do that in the future. If everything gets up and running, I'll probably eliminate most of this and just go with that. And yeah, that looks like a better alternative, because I don't use this anymore. This is some kind of vacuum control unit here that controls your climate control. I just set it on blow these days. I don't use a heater anymore. I do use air conditioning, but you don't need this if that's all you're doing. If you still have a heating system that really works, and that would be nice if I lived way up north, yeah. But I don't. So that concludes this video. I'm talking too much now. Better stop it. As usual, I always forget something to mention, but this I had to separate from the harness, I believe. There's a couple of grounds here. I think I documented that in another video. And this wire here still goes over to the sensor, the highest one on the thermostat housing. This is if you still want to read what your temperature is from your temperature gauge in the car, if it still works. Mine does. It's got a brand new one. It seems to work correctly. So yeah, this one, do not chop out. This is a keeper, okay? This was mingled in with the harness. So yeah, we still got to clean up in here with some wiring. But yeah, this is the only thing left that was, I don't know if it was actually wrapped into the ECU harness, but it was mingled in there somehow. Alright, so that's really it for wiring right now. I think my next thing, since I know, or think I kind of know where things go, so now I can finally put in the fuel injection, the new fuel rail, and the new O-ring, 14mm O-ring injectors with high impedance, 14.4 ohms, 19 pounds per hour. I think they're A-cells, ACCEL, A-cell injectors, 19 pounds, sometimes used on Mustangs between the years maybe 1994 to 2004, 5-liter engines. And yes, you can use them on a Datsun 280Z, and that is it. Moving on.